Welcome to Headline Hub Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. On August 15, 2025, a shocking headline emerged, one that would send shockwaves through every corner of the globe and mark the beginning of a new era in international relations. 7 strategic ports block U.S. freight, global markets in turmoil. The world's busiest shipping lanes, once humming with activity, suddenly ground to a halt as port authorities enforced the blockade. Major global hubs like Shanghai, Rotterdam, and Singapore denied entry to American exports and imports, effectively freezing the arteries of world commerce. Ships carrying everything from electronics to raw materials were stranded at sea, unable to dock or unload. This silent economic war, declared not with weapons but with maritime law, sent panic through trading floors from New York to London. Investors scrambled to assess the fallout, as uncertainty rippled through every sector. The Dow Jones plummeted, triggering global financial chaos. Markets in Asia and Europe followed suit, wiping out trillions in value within hours. The flow of goods, from iPhones to French wine, was abruptly halted. Supermarket shelves began to empty, and manufacturers braced for shortages of critical components. The intricate web of global supply chains was severed in a single stroke. Decades of economic interdependence were suddenly thrown into question, as companies scrambled to find alternatives. The world watched, breath held, to see America's next move. In living rooms and boardrooms alike, anxiety mounted as leaders weighed their options. The blockade was a response to a new American law, impacting far beyond Washington, D.C. It was a message to the world that trade could be weaponized, and that no nation was immune to the consequences. Ports fell silent, corporate boardrooms buzzed with anxiety, and households felt growing fear. Small businesses wondered how long they could survive, while families worried about the rising cost of everyday goods. Experts had warned of global trade's fragility, but now it was brutally real. The vulnerabilities of a tightly connected world were exposed for all to see. The crisis wasn't distant, it was at our shores, failing to arrive. American farmers, manufacturers, and consumers all felt the sting of isolation. The American economy's vital circulation of goods was in cardiac arrest. Every link in the supply chain, from ports to warehouses to store shelves, was paralyzed. The world drew a line in the water, leaving the U.S. on the wrong side. As the standoff deepened, one question echoed everywhere. How long could this last, and what would it mean for the future of global trade? The Port of Los Angeles, usually a hub of relentless activity and noise, fell eerily silent overnight. The familiar clatter of containers and the constant hum of engines were replaced by an unsettling quiet. Cranes, which once moved like clockwork, stood frozen against the morning sky, their arms hanging motionless. Container yards, typically packed and bustling, now had empty patches and wide open spaces, as if the lifeblood of trade had been drained away. Ships docked at the piers sat idle, their crews waiting for orders that never came. No new arrivals broke the monotony, and the usual parade of vessels was nowhere to be seen. The Pacific Ocean, once a bustling highway of commerce, was strangely empty. The water stretched out, undisturbed, with no ship traffic on the horizon. Other major ports like New York and New Jersey mirrored this stillness. Their massive terminals, usually alive with movement, were now quiet and unmoving. Longshoremen gathered in anxious groups along the docks, hands in pockets, their faces etched with worry. With no cargo to move, their daily routines were upended, replaced by uncertainty. Out at sea, a ship from Hamburg, carrying a precious load of luxury cars, drifted like a ghost on the horizon. It waited for a signal to dock that would never come. Its journey paused indefinitely. The vibrant rhythm of the ports, the beeping of machinery, the shouts of workers, the constant movement had stopped completely. The infrastructure, built for ceaseless motion, now stood in total stillness. Maria Flores, a veteran crane operator, described the scene as something out of a movie. She said it felt surreal, as if time itself had paused and the world was holding its breath. The port, usually the heartbeat of the city, had stopped. Even at night, when the skyline glowed, the docks remained dark and lifeless, a stark contrast to their usual energy. Truckers, who once formed long lines to pick up goods, now waited in empty lots. Their trucks sat idle, and with no cargo to haul, their livelihoods seemed to vanish before their eyes. The silence was more than just the absence of noise, it was a broken connection, a sudden halt to the flow of goods and people that tied the nation to the world. Each container left unopened meant factories across the country without vital parts, store shelves going empty, and assembly lines grinding to a halt. The ripple effects were immediate and far-reaching. American ports are gateways to the world economy, handling trillions of dollars in goods every year. Their smooth operation is essential for everything from food and medicine to electronics and cars. As these vital arteries of trade went dark, the United States faced an unprecedented sense of isolation, cut off from the global flow that fuels its economy and daily life. The port shutdown was a stone in a pond, ripples spreading fast. Supply chains were hit first. A Detroit factory halted without microchips. Thousands of workers were sent home, unable to build trucks. This story repeated across the country. A Florida construction project stalled without German steel. Retailers saw inventories stranded at sea. Farmers faced canceled orders, crops rotting in silos. Small businesses like a Seattle coffee shop faced closure without imports. Scarcity hit pharmacies, baby formula shelves, and gas prices. The crisis was no longer a headline, it was a daily reality. The crisis stemmed from the American Trade Isolation Act. Promising job protection, it imposed a massive tariff on imports. The goal: make foreign goods expensive, boosting American products. Proponents envisioned a self-sufficient America. Critics warned of global backlash but were dismissed. The act's passage led to global condemnation. Trading partners warned it violated trade agreements. Despite protests, the U.S. pushed forward, underestimating global anger. The act, meant as strength, sparked a global economic firestorm. The world responded by isolating the U.S. in return. Within a week, the blockade's chaos hit American society. Grocery and department store shelves emptied. Produce sections lacked global fruits and vegetables. Electronics departments were barren, with no new shipments. Scarcity led to price surges. Inflation spiraled. Families faced doubled grocery bills and costly gas. The American dream of abundance turned into scarcity. Job market pain spread. Initial layoffs were just the start. Factories shut down, retail stores cut hours. Unemployment soared, food bank lines grew, protests erupted, anger directed at both foreign and U.S. policies. The promise of job protection backfired spectacularly. Instead of a manufacturing renaissance, economic collapse loomed. The crisis showed no nation is an economic island. Behind the data and headlines are personal stories of upheaval, uncertainty, and resilience. Every statistic hides a family, a business, a dream put on hold. Mark Jensen, an Iowa farmer, stands before his grain silo, unable to sell his soybeans to China due to tariffs and trade barriers. His fields, once a source of pride, now represent months of hard work with no reward. Mark's daughter's college fund is dwindling, and the family's mortgage hangs in the balance. The future they planned for is suddenly uncertain as bills pile up and hope grows thin. In North Carolina, Sarah Jenkins, a boutique owner, faces the heartbreak of possible closure. Her once bustling shop now sits empty, echoing with memories of better days. Her inventory is stranded at sea, caught in a web of global delays. With rent due and employees relying on her, every day brings new anxiety about the future. The Garcias in Houston face a double crisis. No trucking work as shipments dry up, and medical supply shortages that threaten their health and livelihood. Their story is echoed in countless homes across the country. These are the voices of ordinary Americans, caught in the crossfire of a trade war they never chose. Their struggles are real, their worries shared by millions. Dock workers watch cranes stand idle, small business owners close up shop, and farmers stare at unsold crops. Each one feels the cost in lost wages, lost opportunities, and lost hope. Their stories reveal the true human toll, pain that goes far beyond stock market numbers or economic forecasts. Across main streets and neighborhoods, lost livelihoods, shattered dreams, and a sense of uncertainty abound. Families pack up, unsure where to turn next. Lives are stranded, much like the ships waiting on the horizon, unable to dock, unable to move forward. The crisis is a harsh lesson in global interdependence, showing how deeply connected our fates have become. Now the nation stands at a crossroads between isolation and reconnection, between turning inward or reaching out to the world. The future of the American economy and the dreams of millions hang in the balance. Factories struggle, Wall Street watches, and uncertainty looms. The world is watching, waiting for America's answer. Will it lead, adapt, and reconnect, or retreat into uncertainty? The path chosen now will define not just the nation's economy, but its place in the world for generations to come. Economists and experts assess the crisis's scale and solutions. Dr. Evelyn Reed calls it an economic heart attack. The global supply system's halt causes lasting damage. Restarting won't be quick or easy. General Michael Vance warns of geopolitical fallout. Allies pushed closer to rivals, trust shattered. Solutions start with repealing the Isolation Act. Tariffs must go, negotiations must begin. The U.S. will negotiate from a position of weakness. Recovery will be long and difficult. Economic damage is in the trillions. Bankrupt businesses won't reappear, lost jobs may not return. Global supply chains will reroute, reducing U.S. dependence. Even with right decisions, years of hardship await. The crisis is a lesson in global interdependence. The U.S. faces a critical choice defining its future. Isolation led to economic ruin and global alienation. Empty ports and anxious families show the strategy's failure. Continuing means permanent scarcity and diminished prosperity. Reconnection requires humility and policy reversal. Tariffs must be repealed, diplomatic channels reopened, trust with allies must be rebuilt. The path won't be easy, requiring compromise. The choice is for the nation, not just politicians. Global trade is essential for American livelihoods. The nation must decide its future course. Ships on the horizon symbolize this choice. They can represent isolation or hope for reconnection. The world awaits America's decision. The future of the American economy hangs in the balance.